Hello, Gemini. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Gemini is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your reading. Please hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. It's totally free. It doesn't cost you anything. All right. If there is anything that you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. All right. Now, this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I might provide. And remember, Gemini, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And here we've got the Queen of Cups. Very deep waters here. Very, very deep waters. I feel as if you're doing a lot of emotional processing, right? A lot of kind of depth work, right? Getting in touch with your feelings. With the Queen of Cups, now we're going to put it into some context, but I feel like this is a lot of emotional transparency, okay? Being transparent with ourselves, but maybe with others as well. We're going to take a look at that, though. Interesting, now we got that Moon card. Could be that there's a Pisces person in your life. Oh, Wheel of Fortune. Temperance, a lot of major arcana. And the Magician. I was going to say a lot of major arcana cards already here. This is pretty nice. This is a big force. It's a big spiritual wave that's pushing you forward, right? It's a lot of spiritual momentum here. And yeah, here's that Three of Swords. So we are trying to process some kind of emotional situation. It could be something that's going on currently, but it could be something also from the past, because the Three of Swords is our memory, right? It's the way we relive past experiences for better or for worse. We have that capability to live in our minds, to live somewhere other than the present, right? That's the Three of Swords. And a lot of court cards now. Over here. We have a lot, and this is kind of cool too. We have a court card from every suit. We have fire, water, air, and earth court cards. So there is a balancing going on in your life. There's a realignment of your personality, of your elements with your highest sense of divinity. All right. So that's a really good start. This is going to be I think an all-encompassing reading. I think it's going to hit on, work and romance and spirituality. That's why I don't call these readings anything in particular. I don't say that they're career readings or this is a love reading, These are life readings, And I think that any comprehensive tarot reading should include a little bit of everything, right? If we need to address some romance stuff, that's what we're going to do, But first, we're going to select the mystery card. This is one random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot, and we are just going to maybe stop right there. We'll put Mr. Tao, the yin-yang duck, right there on top. Now, we're not going to look at that card until the very end of the reading, and it will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need. Okay. If at any point during the reading you feel like you know what that card is, I want you to put your prediction down in the comments. All right, let's do it together. Let's make this a group exercise in intuition. All right, I think it'll be good for us. But first, let's take a look around the room again. We've got all these majors. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got all these court cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And really, what we can do, if we wanted to, is we can match up each of these court cards with one of the major arcanas. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll pair these cards up and see how they might. The court cards are kind of like in a way, they are the major arcana archetypes, but in action, right? In your behaviors, in your in your thoughts and feelings and behaviors. So we really have a manifestation of each one. So we'll go through and pair those up in just a minute here. But we also have a couple of fire cards, right? We've got our water. We've got our air here with these two, with the Three of Swords and with the Princess of Swords. So it feels to me like there is something that we are we're trying to work through something, right, in order to reach this kind of breakthrough. And maybe this thing that we're working through is really just allowing us to realize that we are perfect the way we are, right? That we are balanced the way we are. That's not to say that we don't all need a little bit of this introspection, depth work, a little journeying to our own underworld to find out what are our thoughts, our beliefs, our values, our behaviors that might be preventing us from fully realizing this balance and this innate perfection that we have. I don't think anybody's broken. I don't think anybody is incomplete. I think we are all perfect the way we are, but sometimes our human personality might think otherwise, might feel otherwise, right? So it's not about fixing anything. It's just about coming to a more harmonious alignment between our human mind, our personality, and the spiritual energy. And I think that's what we're doing now, because all of these major arcana cards are going to match up with each of these court cards. And the members of the court are, well, members of your soul, right? Just as we are all members of the body of God or goddess or deity or universe or spirit or divinity or divine energy, whatever you want to call it, so too do we have different components of our consciousness that go in to make us who we are. Okay. So we do have to deal with the sword's energy, because I think this is really, especially with the three, it kind of feels like we're either living in the past or we're living in the future. And where we need to be is right now. Because maybe we think, and I know I'm kind of jumping around the cards here, maybe we think in the past things were better. I was better. I was happier. I could do more, right? I felt more in harmony, right? This is kind of the memory of something in the past that, man, that was good. I wish I could get back there. Or this is putting all of our hope in the future and saying, in the future, in some distant place, I can be that again, right? And yes, maybe that future optimism sounds a little bit more hopeful, right? It sounds a little more positive, but it's still taking us out of the present moment. Yeah, it still takes us out of the present moment. So let's start with the water energy. And if I forget, remind me to pair these up at the end so we can see how that energy might manifest. The Queen of Cups is water on water, very deep emotions. And this is really, I think this is your trying to kind of suss out how you feel about things or why you feel the way you feel. There's a lot of exploration with this card. It has a lot to do with understanding our drives, our impulses, understanding our desires. And it's kind of breaking down the different depths of water. There's the surface level water where we're just kind of not even aware what's beneath the surface. We're just reflecting back what the world gives us, right? It's personality mirroring, but it's emotional mirroring, right? And it's something that humans have developed over time as a social mechanism, right? It's kind of a defense thing, but it's just a way for people to kind of get along, right? That's where we get this kind of mob mentality from. Because if we're all just reflecting the emotions, then eventually something's going to slip in there, and we're all going to be kind of reflecting back the same thing. Before we know it, we're in one of those funhouse mirror, mazes or something. And we don't know if we're looking at ourselves or a reflection, or if it's somebody else reflecting something back to us. We don't know what's what, right? And that's the surface level, the surface of the water, where it's a mirror. We go a little bit deeper and we get the kind of, this more surface, the shallow end, I guess, desires, right? And this is just things that we might feel in the moment, and then we want to go and satisfy them. It's a very kind of animal type instinct, We get a little bit deeper than that, and we start realizing what some of our unconscious drives and desires and impulses are, right? How we really feel about things. Not what we show the world necessarily, not what we're reflecting back to people, but what we really want, what we truly feel about things. right? What our true needs are. That's a big one. What do we really need? We think we need a lot of different things, and because of all of this, reflection going on in the world, maybe we're not sure what is something that I really feel and I really need, or just something that I'm kind of just being told, or that's being reflected onto me as something I need. But do I really need it? How do I really feel about that? And then, of course, we get to the very deep end of the pool here, and we tap into this kind of collective unconscious, right? Where we understand or get a sense or a perception or a feeling, an inkling sometimes, of the desires, needs, impulses, and motivations of the entire human species, or the entire cosmos. So we can really go pretty deep here, and it just depends on our level of interest, I guess, and how much time we have on our hands. But we're pairing that up with this moon energy, because I feel as if there is some kind of discontent that you feel. And I feel with this moon card that this is a journey into our own unconscious, a journey into our own kind of underworld, It's a journey into the nighttime in order to kind of find the light again. We know that the sun is on the other side there, and it's almost as if instead of just waiting for the sun to rise, we're going down there to get it. Right? We're going down there to find that inner light, to find that spirit, to find that soul of things again, to find ourselves, to find God, goddess, deity, divinity. We're in this kind of active pursuit, I think. That we've intentionally started this work. Now, what we could be talking about here is very much related to career. It could be something that is kind of leaning toward romance for you, or leaning toward spirituality or creativity, or even leaning toward, physical health, physical well-being. Right? We have to understand what we really need out of a career situation, right? And then we've got to kind of take the journey to both discover what we need and then be brave to go out into the unknown to find that. Right? And the same thing with a relationship. If you're in a romantic relationship, or you want to be, or maybe you don't want to be, maybe you're avoiding a romantic relationship, we have to understand what our desires are. What is it that we really want? How is it that we really feel? Then we can know kind of what to do and where to move forward. But there's also this idea of understanding that nothing is wrong with you, right? And I'm not talking about, the doctor's diagnosed us with something. This isn't a medical reading, all right? I'm not giving any kind of medical advice. If doctors have given you a diagnosis, that's something different. But energetically, spiritually, in essence, there is nothing wrong with you. Yes, we all have bodies, sometimes minds, sometimes hearts, right, that malfunction, right? And these, I think, they're important, but I don't think that they are necessarily indicative of any kind of essential disharmony, right? It doesn't mean we're out of alignment with things. So let's take a look around the rest of the cards and see how we might be able to expand on these ideas. All right. So I definitely think that you're ready for action. You're ready to kind of take on this new understanding that you're finding in this depth of emotion. Okay, you're ready to move forward into this fire energy. But I feel as if this is kind of creating some anxiety right now. And this is, I think, why the present moment is kind of, I almost feel it's being avoided with this Three of Swords here. Because this is kind of the present moment right here. And I almost feel like there's just a little bit of anxiety where we don't know which direction to go. You're learning a lot about who you are and how you feel, and you're tuning into the kind of the subtle or the unconscious or the spiritual side of life, whatever you want to call it. We're doing this underworld kind of depth work, right? Depth psychology or whatever, whatever you want to call it. But I feel as if there is still this anxiety. And maybe it's creating even more anxiety because now you're more in touch with how you feel and what you want and what your needs are. And now it's a matter of, I've got to make a decision. I've got to choose which way to go to get that. Yeah. And that could be creating a little bit more anxiety here. But I think the message with the 8, this is the 8 of Wands, if I didn't mention that. The idea here is to not be so concerned with the destination, right? Just start the journey. Start the process. It's something I think that you're going to learn as you go. Right? And that's kind of with the Mercury energy here, the Magician at the top. This is kind of saying, well, I don't want to really, I can't do anything. I can't go out on stage until I learn my lines, right? Until I understand exactly how the show was supposed to go. I haven't rehearsed it. I don't know what the show is even about, right? You can't just grab somebody and say, hey, you got to go and be Hamlet or something tonight. And I wouldn't know where to begin, right? There's a lot of anxiety with that. Well, what do I do? Do I just try to learn some lines real quick? Do I watch something on YouTube? Or how do I prepare for this, So there's this idea of needing the certainty, needing to understand everything before we can immerse ourselves in it, before we feel like we can move, right? But that's the ticket with this moon energy. Yeah, you want certainty. You want to know kind of what's on the other side of this doorway. We want to make a big a shift in our life. We want to move toward more abundance, more success, more satisfaction, a richness of life. But there's almost this hesitation or fear or trepidation, at least, of going into this unknown, right? Of taking a step in an unknown direction. It's kind of a dark doorway, right? We feel we know what's out there, but we don't really know where. We don't want to grope around to find it. So the Magician is saying, well, let's just get absolute certainty first. But you can't. You have to, you have to go into the unknown if you want to know, right? If you want to know, you got to go. There's my rhyme again. We've got to buy the ticket and get on the train, even if we don't know exactly where the train's going. So the idea here is to adapt, right? And that's something that the Magician is very skilled at doing. It's another side of this Magician, because we've got that performer aspect of it, right? The Magician is the one on stage doing the thing. Well, if I'm not prepared, then my magic is going to fail, right? So we do have to try to have some sort of skills or some sort of idea of what we want to do. But this is also the energy that can adapt, right? So the more we immerse ourselves in really any direction of exploration in your life, if you're exploring new career possibilities, if you're exploring the idea of maybe a romantic relationship here or there or somewhere, if you're thinking of doing different creative projects, you have this drive, you've got this, what kind of feels like it's a budding anxiety, we've got to just let it out. We've got to explore a little bit. And what better way to learn new skills than with the Magician, right? The Magician is always working on new tricks. Yeah. So I think this is a lot of, first of all, accepting yourself. Accepting who you are right now in this moment, not who you were in the past, not who you hope to be in the future, but who you are right now. And understanding the you that you are right now is changing, it's growing, it's evolving every second, every instant. But take that person who you are, who you feel to be right now, and get to know that person. What does that person like? What does that person dislike? What do you feel drawn to? Right? Maybe there is, rather than being 8 different paths that you could take, maybe you feel kind of gravitated toward that rainbow. Maybe there are a few things over here that you feel naturally drawn to right now. Move in those directions, right? Allow yourself to be moved by what you feel you need and desire and what you want right now in this moment. At this point of time in your life, not the past, not the future you, right? And I think a lot of that is realized through this depth work, really getting in touch with how you feel. And there are different ways of doing this. There's obvious ways of, counseling and psychotherapy. There's meditation. There's energy work, there's ceremony and ritual and prayer, all of these kinds of things. But I think a big part of it, especially with this moon energy, is paying attention to your dreams, right? Paying attention to your fantasies, your daydreams, your visions. What are some of the spontaneous kind of what we would call just random things that pop into your head? The random things that you kind of catch yourself daydreaming about. What are those things? Write them down, right? In the past here, we've got this art or temperance card. I feel like this is a very balanced approach. This is the way that we are kind of tempering all of this depth work with some. It's like there's the introspective work, and then we need a little bit of the more extroverted. We need to balance it with a little bit of social interaction, right? Connecting with people, going outside and doing things outdoors, activating it's a left brain, right brain, right? We spend a lot of time in the unconscious. You spend a lot of time in the conscious world as well. We don't want to get lost here under the surface. We want to make sure we engage. And I think that's what we're doing here with all of these court cards. It's a very balanced spread here. Okay, and I think balance is really key and really important. And this is really, this card is kind of accepting yourself as you are right now. There's, 2 sides of you, let's say, right? There's the kind of conscious, the interface between the world, and then there is this deeper desire, this deeper water, this deeper fire that's in you. Yeah. The creativity, the feeling, the needs, right? The impulses and the drives. And those are being balanced with the rest of these elements. So we have a really good opportunity here, to manifest some of this abundance. This is the Wheel of Fortune. This is underneath everything. This, I think, is a sense, I kind of feel like this is more related to time than anything else. I feel as if, the universe is saying, it's your time now to fully activate yourself and move toward your desires, move toward a richness of life, right? I think this is also part of your awareness, this feeling perhaps that I better get a move on, that the clock is ticking. I'm not wearing my watch today. The clock is ticking, There's no better time than right now. This is almost like hearing the ticking of the clock can sometimes bring you back to the present moment. It could also kind of lull you into a kind of this reverie or this unconscious state or this hypnagogic state even. And so that's something that we have to be aware of if we are spending a lot of time in the past, in the future, in this kind of unconscious underworld state. We need something that's going to snap us back to reality and put us in this present moment. Okay. So maybe the mystery card will be something like that. Maybe it'll be the Eon card, Judgment card. But anyway, we're running, we've already been half an hour here. The Wheel of Fortune. Things are expanding. You feel like now is the time for you to really start enjoying the richness of life. You've got this sense that we've got to get going, right? We've got to start growing our life, evolving our life into what we need it to be. Okay, now we're going to move to the path of the serpent, and this won't take very long, and then we'll pair up the cards. As we switch over here, I'd like to ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's totally free, right? It doesn't cost you anything. And leave some comments for me. I love to read everybody's comments. I love hearing where everybody is from, where you're watching from. We have people from all over the world. It's really wonderful. I love the community that we're building here. Okay, anyway, the Three of Swords, we talked about that. This is the way that we sometimes spend all of our time in the past or the future, because the Three of Swords is all about the memory. It's all about understanding the process of creation on the mental plane. Where do you live in your head? That's the big question right now. Are you living in some kind of past, a nostalgia? Are you living in some kind of hopeful future? Right? Or can we be in the present moment and, find almost the excitement of the present moment, right? These two. This is the anxiety, and this is kind of a card of expansion, right? So maybe this isn't really, and there's light and shadow for every card. This could be a growing anxiety. But if we learn to express that energy through action, through balanced action that we're going to see with these court cards, then our life is going to expand and grow in an equal way, right? It's a circle that is just going to expand all around. Right? It's not going to be in a weird oblong shape, right, where just one area is growing out. Maybe we are expanding every area of our life. We're expanding in every direction equally. So there's full expansion. We're expanding our creative works, right? We're expanding our physical health, right? We're finding growth and abundance in our relationships, in our knowledge, in our feeling, our connection, our sense of purpose, our sense of meaning, right? The richness of life in this kind of holistic way. But we've got to realize first and foremost where we live in our heads. Okay, that's the first question we have to ask ourselves. Now, let's think about pairing these cards up. So I think the first pairing with the Moon and the Queen of Cups, I think that's perfect, right? Because the Moon is that Pisces card, and to activate that Moon, well, we've got this introspective depth work, finding the deeper meaning, finding out what purpose means to us. What does our life mean to us? What do we want? What do we feel? Right? Who are we deep within? And if we can get to the deepest point here, then we can see how we are all connected. We are all the same, you know. So we've got our water. Now we've got our fire here too, because this is the Art or Temperance card. And this is all about balance. This is a Sagittarius energy. We've got fire here. And the Sagittarius energy it's a strategy for moving forward in a balanced way. It's kind of conscious mind, unconscious, left brain, right brain, thinking, feeling, working in tandem. And that's kind of the fire energy here. That's the horse and the rider working in tandem. The unconscious, right, the body is the horse, and the rational mind, or the conscious mind, is that rider, holding the wand, holding the reins. And that's the strategy for moving forward, is to have this kind of balanced life. And if you balance the past with the future, we arrive right in the present moment, okay? And of course, we have our kind of extra fire energy here. So we have our water, we have our fire. How about the air? Let's do the air next. We can do the air really with that Mercury energy. Mercury is the magician, is the communication. So I think that works for the air. And that, of course, leaves the Wheel of Fortune, the Jupiter energy, with the Earth court card. So for the Mercury energy, the magician here, and we've got the Princess of Swords. We're trying to learn new things, right? And we're also trying to kind of cut our way through the jungle without having much of a map, without really knowing what we're doing, but we're striving anyway. And it's difficult. It puts us perhaps at a perceived disadvantage, right? This is us fighting through the chaos to get through the certainty. This is fighting through all of the data to come to an understanding, a wisdom, right? The magician is all about the wisdom, how to utilize the materials that are available to us. And it's also about our interactions. Are we living in the past? Are we living in the future? Or are we living in the right now? And paying attention to what we have in our lives right now. Okay, well, we've got a little bit of that, some extra air energy. So I think a lot of the work for you right now is going to be this 8 of Wands, fire energy, and the 3 of Swords, air energy, to kind of to deal with these. You got a little bit of anxiety, not knowing which direction to go. We need to solve that. You've got this question of where are you living in your head? Are you one of those people that spend a lot of time in your head and kind of miss out on what's going on around you? You know, there's a time to be in our heads, in our water energy, or up in the air energy, I guess. And then there's time to really come back to the present moment and stay grounded and focus on what's right in front of us. Right? Focus on the people that are around us. It's like we're out in nature going for a walk and we're just thinking of other things. We're feeling other things. We're somewhere else in our head. We're missing out on the beauty of the grass and the trees and the birds and the bees, all this stuff. Finally, we have this Jupiter energy with the Wheel of Fortune and the Prince of Pentacles. The Pentacles represent the entire gamut of energy, right? Because the Earth is the vessel for all of the other cards. The suit of Pentacles contain all of the other cards. And I always say, especially with the Page or the Princess of Pentacles, that card contains the entire rest of the tarot pack. Okay. So we kind of have that expansive, including everything quality of Jupiter here. Now, Jupiter's not really an earthy card, but I think this matches up perfectly. This is above and below. The purples and yellows talk to me about the culmination of all of these, especially the blues and the reds and a little bit of this yellow and green, kind of make up this card here. This is everything, and this is everything. This is expanding a life. This is a spirit that is expanding, an awareness that is expanding. And this is a card that says things are perfect right now as they are. And this is you living that, even though down here on the earth plane, we experience the duality, right? We experience the disharmony of things. It feels like things are out of alignment. We get sick. We're out of alignment with health, right? Something in our bodies malfunction. I've got to go do some tests in a couple weeks here because I don't know if I told you this. I had a liver transplant 13 years ago. And I've got to go do some routine tests, but they've got to do all sorts of things. So just to make sure that my body is still in alignment, right? Still in harmony with things. But even if it's not, that doesn't take away from the absolute perfection of the way things are right now, right? So we got to get going. This video is getting kind of long. Sorry to keep you so long, but the Prince of Discs is out there in the world doing things, committed to expanding this life, growing this life, and experiencing the richness of life, right? In every interaction. And again, this really, where we're taking this, because this is the outward behavior. All of these other cards are not really manifested until they get to this Wheel of Fortune and this Prince of Pentacles. We're trying to manifest our most fortunate, our best life, our most abundant and lucrative and rewarding and rich and valuable, value-filled life. This is the behavior. None of these other cards are behaviors necessarily. This is us now out in the world, interacting in the world of Earth, right? In the world of the manifested elements. So none of this really takes place until we get here, because this is when it reaches our fingertips, so to speak, and then we can have influence over the world around us. Let's look at the mystery card, all right, before this video gets too long. Thank you, Mr. Dow. Okay, maybe we'll just put this back over here. Put the mystery card here. If you feel like you know what the mystery card is, put your answer down in the comment section. I literally have no idea. I think the mystery card might show you what area of life this is mainly taking place. Is this mostly a career thing for you? Is it mostly creativity? Is it mostly spirituality? Is it mostly a romantic family kind of thing? Is it a physical thing? So the suit of this card, and we're just going to look. I'm not going to try to predict, although I think it's going to be water. It might show us where the focus is, right? No, it's a 7 of Wands, see? Seven of Wands. So I kind of feel like there's a big emphasis now on this fire energy. And I think it really is us trying to, it's almost a battle, right, between, it feels that way, a battle between our consciousness and the rest of the world, right? And to me, this, especially, if we kind of take everything else out of the picture and we just have this, I kind of get this feeling that there's some social anxiety, or there's this feeling like going out into the world is always a battle, right? It's always a struggle, that there's this kind of ease and harmony is sometimes missing from our daily lives, right? And it could be that there's a lot of stuff in the world. If you spend a lot of time doing the rest of this work, well, just going out to the grocery store or something feels like a really huge event. There's lights, there's sounds, there's a million people, there's TVs and music blaring everywhere. It's a sensory overload, right? So I feel like that might be a little bit of what's going on here. And I think that this 7, the 7 of Wands here is saying, look, don't give up. Incorporate these other areas, these other, the other elements, right? To come to an awareness of this balance. And maybe the fire energy is a little out of balance for you. Maybe that needs to be, maybe things need to be realigned a little bit. Yeah, realigned a little bit. And we can temper with this art or temperance card, temper a little bit of this anxiety, this kind of almost a perception of conflict or an expectation of conflict. Maybe we can temper that with some of these other energies. All right. Now, we're going to do an extended reading. I'm sorry, this is almost 40 minutes now. If you want to watch the extended reading, click on the link up here in the corner. That'll give you access to all of the extended readings. I am here every day from 6 to 8 a.m. Chicago time. Come back and join me again tomorrow, okay? Your Gemini-specific readings are Tuesdays and Fridays. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Again, this doesn't cost you anything. Totally free, all right? Come join our community here. I thank you, and I love you, and we're all in this together.